Just a minute. Sorry about that. So if you're following the last few classes, the last two classes rather, that we started working on part of the assignment that you'll be doing by yourself, but I started it nevertheless. This little program, it reads from a text file and it loads up all the bank account information. Text file we got only 4 entries. And what we have got yet over here is that if you click on any of these bank accounts, it only shows you the account number and the name. You get to see all the details over here. Okay. So that's the view we have already. And today's lab class will actually extend on it. I'll tell you what are the things you have to implement. Let me just get a copy of this so that I can put it on on some image and then write on it somehow. Where was it? Okay, so this is the existing user interface. Okay, what I want from you guys is that you get this ready. That you add some additional functionalities over here, like create a save button that allows us to modify a few of the things, right? So you can make changes over here and then save that. All right. So when you make changes and then hit save, that will be written into the file and in the appropriate place. So if I make some changes to this first account, it's not going to change the address of the last account. It has to change the address for the first account. So that's one thing. I want you guys to add a reset button as well. The purpose for that reset button would be to give you a fresh form. So let's say I click on some of these bank accounts already, then I'll get some entry. But if I want to create a new bank account, I have to click on this create button. but over here all this information are already filled out, the account number is already loaded, so when I hit reset it will give me account number 5 because that doesn't exist, and all these fields will be free so that I can type in the information about a new account and hit create. Then I can actually save this thing. Is this task clear? And one last thing, for today's task you'd have to create the search thing. The search field is already here. What I want in here is that I can type in partial name of a person and I will hit enter. Then only the bank accounts that matches with that name will be shown and nothing else. So just to give you an example, let me just type in, let's say I type in HA, that's not an A, HAS, and over here you'd see that only these two accounts matches, so these two will be shown, right? The other two will not be shown. Is this thing clear? So two tasks, well actually three tasks. One is to implement the reset button. Task 2 would be to do the save button so that you can update the changes. And task 3 over here is to implement the search options. The way the code is right now, let us have a quick look at it. We have a bank account class in here. We don't have the withdraw and deposit coded in, but that's not needed either. If you look at the controller, I've already written code for initialize, how to read from the file, and also how to save a new bank account. So all these things are already in place, right? But I haven't created the save button that allows us to update anything, and we just don't want to change all of it. Like the name, we're not going to change that. The balance, we're not going to change that. However, the address, we will change that through this thing, the save button. The user can make changes over here and hit save. That has to work. So this task number 3 can be a little bit of a challenge, that you type in a name and then you hit enter and it just works. In order to do that, what you need to do is, let me go here to the actual sim builder. See, this is a text field, and just like we can add an action to a button, so if you go to the create button, you see that on action we have a handle create action, and if you go to a text field, you actually have the same thing, that on action you can write the name of a method, so that whenever the user types in something and then hits enter on that text field, that action will be performed. So you have to write a name of a method over here and then save this thing, go back to the controller, update that, and then you'd see that you have a placeholder for something like this, like a method, and you have to write your text in here. How does that work? This entire thing. So in our last lesson I showed you that you can use the list view and observable list in conjunction to load the data into an observable list first, and then set the icons so that you can see that in the list view. That's how it works. But over here, what we are asking for within this search box, you have to match the names. So whenever the name matches, you only show those accounts. So this is like a filter operation. We are filtering a large set of data. We have only 4 data over here, but it can be really large. Like just imagine that we got around 2,600 students in CSE from day one, that all the students have enrolled, and I want to look for only those students that have their name, that have Hassan in their name somewhere. That's the example that we're looking at over here. So if that's the case, then I don't want to see all 2600 of them. I only want to see where the name matches. Okay. How can you do this? One easy way would be to look through the entire observable list. The list we got, where is that? Over here. So what you do, here's an example that you can look through this thing and print them out. So if you understand this, it's not so much of a big stretch. You look through them and check whether the name contains the word that you have in your search box. If it does contain that, then you copy them over to some new list, and at the end you just say that the list view dot set items will be the new filtered list that you're showing over here. So try this out. You need two data structures over here. One list that would contain all the bank accounts, another separate list that would contain the subset, the filtered list, and when you show that over here, you're going to show that from the subset, not from the original set. So try it out. If it doesn't work, let me know, but I'm just going to leave these three tasks for you. So for those of you who came in late, let me just repeat this one thing, that the purpose of this reset button, you have to add a new button over here. The reset button will clear out this entire field. The form will be clear, and the account number will be the next number that you're going to create. So we got 4 accounts already, so this has to be account number 5. Okay. And then we will fill in the account name, the address and initial balance, and then we will hit the create button. That's how we do that. That's the purpose of reset. Okay. So reset simply clears this out and gives us a new account number. But if I hit reset 10 times, the account number is not going to change because I haven't hit the create button. Every time I hit the create button, the account number should increase. The next task for save is that you can make changes to the address. You can select any of these accounts that are already here. You can make changes over here. When you hit save, it has to go to the file, and also when you click on it, the next time you'll see the updated data. And actually with create you have to make some changes as well. When you create a new account, it has to be saved into the file. That's how it is right now, but it's not coming over here. So make sure that your create operation also updates the data into the list view. Somehow it has to do that. Okay. So there are quite a few tasks. And finally, the third one is filtering this out. All the code is already in our GitHub repository, so download it from there and make sure that you go through these things. Being able to work on all these things is quite important. Firstly, because you have an assignment coming up, and also some of the exam questions may be related to some of the tasks that you have at hand. Okay. So give it a try. I'll help you out towards the end of the class, but you should be able to do most of these things on your own. Okay, so I'll just pause this video for now. Any question on any of these things? Anyone? Okay, let me get you started with some of these things. First of all, over here we got one button. And you can see that if you try to add more buttons, you can add probably one over here in this column, but you can't add any more over here. So what we can do is we can wrap that into a toolbar and place that toolbar over here, and also make sure that we span it across all the other columns. So what's going to happen over here, if you see in preview, we have a new bar and we can add multiple buttons over here. If you have too many buttons that then you can show over here, they will appear down here in a drop box, a drop down box rather. So what do we need here? We need one reset button and one save button. Okay. Now, in order to get this to work with the reset button, we have to have some code over here that says, let's say, handle reset action, and up here we'll have another one, handle filter action, perhaps, that we're using it for filter. So once you do these things, and also let me do this one as well. So if we update this, we should have placeholder for 3 new things: the filter, reset, and save. I just wanted to show you how the filter, the reset works. So the action that I want to do over here at reset is that the entire form will be cleared out, and the new account number will be the next account number that we got. The way we do this is we simply say, we have a method already, it says clear form. Okay, so we do clear form, and the new bank account number needs to be placed over there. So the new bank account number is going to be, if you look at the bank account class, there is a static member. We talked about static members over here that says total accounts. So let us have a getter method that returns our total accounts over here. And with that in place, we can now say account number field dot, what's that called? It's actually the number field. So number field dot set text. Here, if we pass 5, then we'd have a new account number 5. But this is not something we are going to type in. We'd say bank account dot get total accounts. That way I know what's the total number of accounts. Right? Over here it would show 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 already. So that means we need to add one more to it and then turn it into a string. So this is the next bank account number, and it will just be shown just like that. So let me show you how this thing would work. So right now we can see all these information over here, and now I want to create a new account. So I just hit reset, and this is what I see. Is this thing clear? So I can fill in the details about a new account number. Say test account, some address with a initial balance of, let's say, 500 taka, and we hit create. So maybe the account got created, but we don't know that yet. The account indeed got created, and I can show you that. Well, that's our assignment demo. See, this test account indeed got created, but the problem that we are facing right now is that it's not here. It is going to appear the next time we run the project, that you'd see the test account appearing. But as we have created an account and we have hit the create button, it should appear right away. Okay, so we don't see that, and that's a problem. So what we need to do here, see, look at the create operation, the way this works. This is the create action. So we get all these information and we create this bank account, and we write it out to the file, but nowhere we are actually adding that to the data structure. And that's the only thing we need to do. So if you look at this thing, we have a data structure that's bank account list. This new bank account is not getting added to that data structure. That's the issue. So the only thing that you need to say after you create this account and do all these things, you just say account list dot, what's that called? I think bank account list. Yeah, bank account list dot add this new account that you just created. You add it to the data structure. The view will be notified right away. So if we try this thing one more time, so we got 5 accounts and we hit reset, so that's the new account we have here. Let's say account name is John Doe. It lives nowhere, and the account balance is, let's say, 1,000 taka, and we hit create. So this problem is resolved now because this John Doe appears right here. Okay. Just like any other account. So the only thing that we needed to add over here is at line number 159 that this new account needs to be added to the data structure as well. Previously it was just added to the output file, not to the list view. Now with that thing, it gets fixed. So that's actually the first task. How to handle this reset operation, and that also meant that we modify the create one as well. Now next up is the save action. So I'll again pause for a bit, leave it on you and see if you can get there, and then we can try again. Is this one clear though? What I didn't hear? This part, and simply in this reset action, this one. It didn't involve much coding, but you need to understand why this works. Alright, let us have a quick look at the remaining tasks. So one of them was this filtering thing, and the other one was this save operation. Right? So since this is number 2, let us have a quick look at this. So what should happen over here is that, let's say I have this thing selected, and I'll be making some changes. Let's say this address needs to be changed to 655 Shantinagar, and the other things will remain unchanged. And then we hit this save button, so this account information should get updated. And at the same time, we should also save that into the file, so the next time we run this thing, we get something else. Now, in order to do this, I want you to understand one thing over here. When we say handle save action, how does that work? Okay. So something will be displayed. Some bank account will be displayed over here, and then the address of that bank account will be changed. So let us try this out. See, display data displays a particular bank account. So there must be some way that we do this. We actually do it in this way, that we have a selected bank account and we make changes over here within that bank account. So when you go to the save action, the same thing needs to take place. And in order to do this, it would be helpful if we save this selected account somewhere else so that this is readily available to us. Okay. What I mean by that is that we will have a instance variable, public bank account, selected account, like so that whenever we select a bank account, it stays there. How does that help? We can now say selected, well, let us grab the edited address. So string updated address equal to whatever we can get from the text area, which is address area dot get text. And now that we know the selected account already, we can say selected account dot set address to the updated address, and then we need to write it to a file. So let us print this out before writing to this file. Let us print this out, and we have a code that prints out to the console. So let me just copy paste this just to test this out. Okay. So what happens now? Well, we can go to any account and then change the address. Let's say some other address, and I just said third line here, and we're going to hit the save button. Oh, I got a problem right away that when we are printing this thing, we're not printing the details, so we can't really see what the address got updated or not. So when we print this, let us just print all the information, and we have one such method. Does that get all data? That would give us everything in one line, or multiple lines rather, I don't know. Now the same thing again for the test account. Let's just say that this is some other account, third line, and then we hit the save button. So yeah, it works, right? For the test account, this is the printout, but it didn't get saved into a file yet. How do we save it into a file? Instead of printing it out over here, we need to save this to a file, and that's something we did over here already, right? This try catch block, if you just copy this, that would help. It's just that when we use this one, what I would like to do, see, we got all these bank account loaded up over here, and we have that in memory already. So when we write this out to the file, we may change something over here, we may change something over here. So we don't know where exactly all these things they got changed. So one easy way to fix this is to delete everything, and then write the entire content of the list that you got. Okay? That way you don't have to worry about anything at all. So how do we do it? We just say erase all the content by saying set length 0. That way there is no other content in that text file. And then when we write it to the file, we do it for all the bank accounts. For int I equal to 0, I less than how many bank accounts we got, account list dot size, bank account list rather. And for each of those bank accounts, what do? We say bank account list dot get I dot get all data and write it to that file. We don't have to add to the list anymore because they're already in the list, and we just close the output after that's done. And after the save operation, we will clear the form to indicate that this indeed got saved. So let us just quickly try this one out. So let us save that. Everything got cleared. We go back over here. Let us reload this. This is for Roxana Tajali, and yes, the address did get changed. Okay. So it was down here. It could be the first account, it could be the very last account, we don't know. So what we do is just to keep things simple, we delete the entire content of the file, make the changes into the data structure, and then write the data structure back into the file again. It's just easy that way. Otherwise, if you want to come here and change the content of that location only, That is also possible, but that's a little bit tricky. You need to measure exactly how many characters you have to pass, then you take your file pointer there and make some changes. This is not impossible, it's just that it's not worth the effort that you put in. The last task that I asked you to perform over here is to find out the account that matches a particular name or part of a name. And if you have a string, you want to match part of that string. There is a very nice method in the string class. It's called contains. So contains will allow you to search for something as such. Now, when we search for something, I'd like to see only those records over here, not the entire thing. And in order to do that, I thought that it's much easier done if you create a separate list. And that's called, let's say, the filtered list view. Okay, so we got well, actually not that, the data structure. We need two separate copy of the data structure. So maybe a filtered bank account list. Okay. The idea is that all the contents will be loaded up into the bank account list first. Okay. So initially this is what we do, and for setting the items, we are going to load them from, let's say, filtered bank account list. We can do so, or you could do it from the bank account list, but when you filter that, you have to do it accordingly. Now what happens over here after reading all these things, at the very end when you do so, see, we have loaded everything, and we do that into which account? The actual bank account that holds all the data, but we are showing the data from somewhere else. See? We're showing the data from filtered bank account list, and that's going to be a bit of a problem now. So now this is empty because it shows the filtered list. It doesn't show you the actual list. So just like we have created the bank account list, let us just create a filtered bank account list. And when I'm done reading all these things, the entire content of the file, what I can do quite easily, I could just say filtered bank account list dot add all, and then pass the bank account list. Okay. That way all the content of the bank account list goes into the filter list, because initially there is no filter at all. And now we see them all. So the task right now is we type in something like HASAN and hit enter. What we want is that all these bank accounts that are in the original bank account, if they contain this text, they will be copied over into the filtered list. Okay, so how do we do this? We have a placeholder for this, handle filter action. Now the way we can achieve this is initially, first of all, the filtered bank account list, let us empty that. So let's say clear, and now we loop over all the bank accounts for int I equal to 0, I less than bank account list dot size. By the way, there is a much better way of writing this with enhanced for, but since you guys said that I haven't done that yet, let me just use the counter one. So to get a bank account like this, we say bank account equal to bank account list dot get I. So I have the ith bank account, and now the name is actually from the filter field dot get text, or whatever we call that. Search field. Thanks. search field. I lost it. Search field.getText. Okay. So now, how do we search for a particular name part within a string? So we just say if account dot get account name dot contains that name or part of the name, then we copy this account to the filtered bank account list. So only those accounts that will have this name matched, they will be copied over, and that's pretty much it. You don't need anything else. So when we run this thing, okay, let us just say we type in HAS and hit enter. You see only the names that match, they're over here, and you can click on them to see the data. Okay. Now the problem is, what if I search for HAS now? I don't get any match because we're not working with case insensitive stuff. So the way to get around that, let me see if there is any method called contains ignore case. No, there is no such method. So what we'd have to do is we'd have to convert this thing into either lowercase or to uppercase. Let's say I convert this to lowercase already. So over here, first of all, I convert the same thing to lowercase as well, and then try for this. So that way, the account name is converted to lowercase, and the search is already in lowercase. So I check for this thing, and this time around it should work. If I look for Hassan, see the case doesn't match, but if I hit enter, it still matches with this thing and this one over here. Because what happens, whatever I type it in, this way or in any other way, it matches. This gets converted to lowercase, and all these texts that we had over here, they also get converted into lowercase, so there is no discrepancy there, and we can match that. Now, one problem that I have over here is that what if we don't, well, that gets fixed automatically. Like if you delete everything and hit enter, that also works right away. Okay. Now, how do we make things a little bit more fun? What if I didn't have to hit enter? What if as I was typing that it selects part of the string that matches all these things? How can we do so? That as you type, right at that time, this works. Any clue? See, this should work for the handle filter action, obviously. It should also work for the typing thing as well. So let me take this part and refactor this. Private void filter. Okay, I will take this piece of code and put it here because I want to use it from two places. So whenever we are calling handle filter action, this thing will get called. But at the same time, I want that whenever someone's typing something over here, it also works like that. So here is a method right there. If you type in something, you can invoke a method, and that's where I want to invoke the handle filter action. Okay. Let us quickly test this out. No, it doesn't work. Yeah, it works now. Oh, I think it has a different event. That's why it doesn't work. So I save this now. This is called handle key filter action. We save that, and let us update this one more time. Make controller. We should have a new method. Yes, that's a key event, and over here this is a different event. It's called an action event. But both of them, they should perform the same operation, which is called filter, and this guy should work right now. So see, I don't have to type in enter anymore. Okay, as I'm typing this, it's auto filtering this thing already. So it's a key event, and that's actually better user experience, because now it works right away. There is no wait, there is no need to hit enter. Okay. So the way we did it is that we typed in a new method name over here, which takes a key event as parameter, and from here I call filter, and also from the enter thing, handle filter action, I call filter again. So in both these cases it works. Okay. So that's just a added bonus. It's not a requirement really, but the other things, they're very much a requirement for any sort of account related stuff. That you have to be able to create a new account, you have to be able to change the existing account, make some updates, and also search within a list of accounts. These are very basic requirements. Okay. What we haven't handled yet is the transaction history. How can we allow any deposit or any withdrawal on any bank account? How do we do that? Okay. So we're running out of time, and I also can do that over here. So next class I'll give you some hints on how you can manage that with some more controls. Maybe on a different tab we'll have all those options, and we'll have a like a radio button or drop down, what type of operation we are going to perform. There will be current time right from the system, there will be current date right from the system. I'll also show you how to do that, and then we'll be saving all that information into another text file. So when we read it, when we read this thing initially, we will load all the data. We will read all the account information as well as the transaction history, whatever happened beforehand. We will be reading all that. Okay. Any question about any of these things that we did today? I mean, if you can't solve it here, that's probably okay. But you should go through these things at home and do a lot of practice, because our final exams are coming up. Our lab exams will come up again. In the lab exam, obviously you'd have to do something over here. I'll give you a task, and you have to show me that you can do that with the ID and everything. For the Java course, I think the final exam will be right after the theory exams. It's not going to be before that. Maybe our exams will end by May 8th. So if that's the case, then the lab final will be on May 9th. If our exams end on May 9th, then I'll shift it by a day. This will be on May 10th. Okay. But, in some of the semesters, I took the lab exam before the theory finals, but I don't get the lab free this semester, so that's why I'm going for later days. If for any of you that's an issue, you can let me know. I can arrange for an exam that happen before the theory exams. Like in case you need to go home, go out of Dhaka, if that's the case, then let me know. Okay. But do let me know ahead of time so that I get some time for preparation.